5:30.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay.
And this is being recorded.
This evening's Board of Directors meeting is being recorded, and this is the monthly meeting of the Board of Directors of the Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District. I'll call the meeting to order. The first item on is approval of the agenda, and that will require a board action. Have a motion to approve the agenda.
I so approve.
Second?
I second.
All right. Any discussion, additives, subtractions?
Seems straightforward.
All right. All in favor of accepting the agenda as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We don't have any guests this evening. No public comments, board questions, comments, or discussion. All right. The next item is a board action, which is review of the minutes of October 19th. Motion to accept the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes.
Second?
Second.
And discussion. Is this where you were talking, item 13? Okay. And this has been revised or deleted
Yeah, so I
in
took it off.
the final minutes? Does anybody have any questions?
The minutes accurately reflect my memory of the meeting.
All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes with the one revision to item 13, which is basically deleting it, say aye.
Aye.
The next item are the October 31st, 2023 financial statements for review of all funds. Motion to accept the financial statements.
I so move.
Second. I'm sorry, are you getting everybody because I'm not? Okay. Discussion. Picked up one SDC in October, huh?
The negative 43,000 is the tax issue.
The what?
Negative 43,000.
Yeah,
That's the taxes that haven't come in yet.
Right, which just came in.
Okay.
So you'll see it on next month, that'll be back. We received 204,
Yeah, just under 205,000.
just under 205,000.
That's what I thought it was. I just wanted
Yeah,
to check.
yep.
If there's no other comments, all in favor of accepting the financial statements, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, board audit, accounts payable.
Seem to be anything on here that we hadn't previously discussed.
No, I don't think so.
agree.
You won't see any real change to this till we start the Oceanside project, and that's probably not gonna start at the end of February, 1st of March.
Okay. The HVAC was on here.
What was on here?
The HVAC repair,
Oh, yeah,
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 but that's what you told us it was.
yeah, it actually came in a lot less than what I told you it was.
That's right.
We have a little more work to do, but that's just controllers.
I don't know if we discussed in a prior board meeting, but maybe you could just update the board on the problems with CenturyLink.
So CenturyLink, most of you live out here, probably lost your phone service. We lost all 3 of our lines for 6 weeks. I'm still trying to get a credit out of them, but the worst part for us up here was we lost our telemetry line. So the operators had to check the SCADA every couple hours, just in case there was an emergency. There's no way we would have been contacted. So that's back up and running. CenturyLink has 2 of our 3 lines going, still 1 is not working. I've got Tyler and Brian looking into switching our dialer over to cellular. We have good cell service up here, so they do make like an add-on to our dialer system that it will run off cell phone. You have 2 choices. It could be a backup cellular, so if that line goes down again, or it can be just run off cellular phone, and that's about less than $500 a year. We pay $281 a month for our 3 lines. And so the only thing that I would ask the board, and you can just think about this, the only thing that we would wind up keeping if we switch that over to cellular would be our fax line. And I don't even know how often, it's probably not even worth keeping a fax line, because we can do faxes on internet now, so.
We have a internet cable line coming in here.
We have fiber, yeah, we have fiber.
We could do voice over that and get rid of CenturyLink entirely.
Well, we can get rid of CenturyLink. All of our voice is voice over IP now.
Okay.
But we had to keep the landlines for the fax machine, and we had to keep the landline for our dialer system. They now have I'm gonna call it an add-on, because you don't have to buy that new equipment, just the add-on. It's probably around $4,000 for the unit, and probably, you know, that much more, probably about a little less than 8,000, between 7,000 and 8,000 to change it over to cellular. And then at that point, I think we can eliminate CenturyLink altogether. Because after that capital expenditure, you're no longer gonna be paying the $281 a month.
Have you spoken with any other districts that have done that to see whether they have?
No,
problems?
we just got back from TAG that it's even possible to do. So, yeah.
Just other people that have done it, let them find out if they have learned for us any issues or.
Yeah, I'll definitely, we can ask TAG, and if they know of any customers they have, or anybody that they're aware of that runs on cellular.
Yeah, I don't wanna be the first one.
No, no.
Cause that's the emergency dial.
Yeah, this is not something that's new. I mean, it's out there. I just don't know of anybody local that does it, so we'll have to, find out.
I thought it was an innovation.
No. It's probably to us, we just found out it was possible, but it's been out there for a while.
Now, who would be the server?
So it comes from the automation group, so it's through them. I don't know who their provider, if it's AT&T, Verizon, or which company provides that. It's just like our security system. It's through Benton Electric, but it's not. That's just our provider is Benton Electric. So the automation group would be our provider. I don't know who they use for the service. If that's answering your question.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like CenturyLink has written us off out here,
I agree with you.
and therefore I feel like writing them off.
Yeah. last year we went a week or two, 14 days I think it was, without any telemetry and stuff for down there, because the phone ped was 2 weeks after that snowstorm in February. Yeah, we had problems with the phones then too.
But I vaguely remember you mentioning to me that normally if there's an alarm, our guys would receive that. But when their phone system goes down, they're calling in every couple hours because that link
Right.
isn't set anymore. So we're in the situation where it could be 2 hours that we have a pump failure and maybe surge.
It will show on our screen, it'll show on their cell phones, laptops or whatever, they'll be able to see that, but they won't get notified to go look to see that there's an issue. That's the problem, you get no notification. I don't know of many people that are gonna sit up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and
Call
check
it.
those, especially, I mean, we're going into storm season.
Yeah.
You
So-
wouldn't be getting the alarms that you
No.
ordinarily would
No,
get
no.
if their system isn't working.
Right, right. So the cellular can be set up 2 ways, the automation group said. You can use it as a backup, but now you're paying the fee of $400 and some a year just to use it as a backup, just in case CenturyLink goes out. So what I want to know is the dependability of it. I think that's where
That
you
was
were
my
going.
point.
Yeah, is the dependability of it before we commit. So I do have a price, it's within my realm to approve. And like I said, it's less than $8,000 to do it.
Timeframe?
Huh?
How long would it take them?
I don't know, we just got, I mean, I wrote the district report before I even got half of what I'm gonna
You got the
talk.
price, I thought you might get like double.
No, I don't think I don't think it's in the paperwork, the timeline.
They
Yeah.
said depending on supplies.
Yeah,
They said if they can get up here and do it by the 26th of this month, if we had it approved, then we can go. If they can get the
that's,
piece
that's
itself.
the thing, that we have to approve it, so they'll order it, but I think that we can get out of them, if they ordered it that day, how long would it be?
What is it, just a box?
I assume it's a box, there's,
Yeah.
it can't be very big.
It kinda just looks
Now-
like a wireless router, it's a little square piece,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's got an antenna that comes off of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it says, yeah, it's fairly plug and play, they just need to program it first.
And it's dependent on power, but we have.
We have power we have,
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, we have emergency power.
well.
And there's still battery backups too for that to keep it alive for a while.
But it's also probably dependent on the cell phone tower, right?
We have strong cell phone service outside.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in
Failure of a tower.
failure of a tower because of,
We've never had a failure for 6 weeks before on a
well,
tower.
yeah, no, okay. Right,
So-
that's fine.
That was, I mean, that's what,
Anything else?
No.
that's what pushed me that direction, to have them go look up to see if this is even possible,
Yeah.
because it's never been down. I've been lied to all last
Oh,
night.
no, I'm.
I've sat out here at night when they're supposed to show and they don't show.
I'm really mad at CenturyLink. I just think they've written this
Yeah.
whole area off.
Well, I think this is really important, so
Yeah.
I don't know how we can,
We're okay with it. You said you don't need our authority.
Then I,
but we're supportive.
well, I'm gonna, only time I'm gonna do something like that, I want the board to be,
Sure.
informed, but, because I need your permission to shut the phone lines off. It's not gonna affect customers, they still call the same phone numbers. The ones that we would shut off are inactive anyway to customers out there, because, the fax line is the only one, if they tried using it, it wouldn't ring through. But, like I asked Aaron, when's the last time we got a fax?
It's antiquated technology.
Yeah.
People just do the fax through the.
Yeah, exactly, so. I think it would save us $281 a month, and,
it'd be more reliable.
I think it'd be more reliable. We haven't really ever had a problem with our cell phones. I mean, yes, we've had the tower go down before, but it's been hours. I mean, I don't think it's ever stayed down more than 48 hours.
So we're gonna recover the costs anyway, in like 8 years.
The total cost of expenditure, you're gonna save in the first year, but before we pay all this project back, it'll be about 2 years to pay it back. For the total cost of the equipment, and then not having to pay CenturyLink anymore.
Any other question or discussion of the board audit? I just kind of inserted that in. I didn't know that you had a solution, but I thought everybody ought to be aware of the problem.
All my solutions have been coming in all week after I get these reports and met with you, so.
All right. The next item is district report.
Treatment plant's running well within its permit limits. We are going to start, so Walt's no longer gonna come out. I think he got a different vac truck. He doesn't need to come out and train on it now. So, yeah, I was a little disappointed when he told me that. I said,
After all this time,
Yeah.
waiting for him?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that other truck that he had, it was in the shop, well, been having on here for 3 months, and that's how long that truck keeps going in and breaking down. So anyway, but we will schedule to have him come out, but we're gonna start, Brian's gonna start training other operators here on our equipment, so we can start going out and mapping I and all that type of stuff. Capes One pump station leak has been repaired. I have not got the invoice from Emery and Sons on the final cost of that, but it should be well under what they assumed it would be. We didn't have to excavate anything to repair it, just had to change all the bolts and gaskets, that's all that had to be done. Ocean Highlands pump station, the generator, I got the schedule today from Cummins. They're gonna come back out on the 6th of December, and then they're gonna test the alternator portion to see if that can get up and running. They did send me an estimate to agree to approve. It's $3,900, but there's $1,500 of that for parts that I don't believe we're gonna need. So like the starter for $745, we're not gonna need, we have 2. The only thing that's in question is the flywheel, and the only reason the flywheel is $500, the reason you gotta include the flywheel, it's got a sensor on the flywheel. It's got tabs on it that reads the RPM for the generator. So if those are bad, then we have to change out the flywheel, but I won't know that until Cummins gets here. So that should look at the 6th of December. If we can get that back up and operational, we'll send back the rental that we're currently paying $2,500 a month on. Since I also found out that we can get those as fast as we can, and they have 50 of them available. So it's not like it's gonna be, they only have 2 or 3 on the lot.
Good.
So we should be fine, and we should get our generator, our portable generator should be here in March. And the new generator, I left it on here, it's still the 42 to 44 weeks. I haven't got an update if that has changed at all. So the biggest one is the effluent pump station. We lost a pump. To repair the pump, we went and met with Xylem on this. Myself, Brian, and Tyler went and met with them, and I had some questions. The pump that failed is the pump that we had one of their techs work on a couple of years ago, and he did some things that he did some things to the pump trying to close up the clearance. He said the clearance was wrong, and he blamed the shop, so they did that, but it made me nervous. He was beating on one of the shims to try to flatten it out because he couldn't get the right clearance. You don't beat on shims because it distorts them. It changes the outside diameter and the inside diameter. So this pump, it finally let loose. Xylem is saying, we inspected it, it looks like it lost a seal, water got in there, and it caused all this damage. Well, I've been a mechanic for a long time, and the damage to that pump, I've never seen in my 25 years. We get pump leak detections and shut them down all the time for safety. It looks like to me, by the way the volute and the impeller had ground on each other till it took the bearings out, and then I think we got the leak. I can't prove that 100% because the inside of that pump is shot, like somebody threw a grenade in it. So now you can't prove Did it happen up here or did it happen down here? Because it's been over 2 years. Now remember, it takes that long for a pump to show that kind of wear because it only runs a few minutes at a time. It starts and stops, starts and stops. This one showed heat in one of the bearings so bad that it fused the bearing race to the shaft. Then the shaft rotor inside hit the outer part of the case. So the damage to the pump to fix it's over $20,000. A brand new pump that size is $17,000. That's how much damage there was to it. A pump damaged that bad, you don't want to repair it. So we went in, met, we had our discussion of what we think happened, and Xylem, of course, told us what they thought most likely happened. And so they agreed to sell us the pump for $10,000.
Brand new pump?
Brand new pump. Full warranty, everything. So,
The other thing is, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but you had mentioned to me that this pump is in the line such that the water that goes through it is clean.
Right.
As opposed to gritty or sandy or
So
having rocks or pebbles.
so it's an effluent, it's our discharge pump, okay, so that water's already been cleaned. I mean, it's clear water. The sewer water is more aggressive and toxic because, you know, it brings in sand, it brings in grit, it brings in everything. That's what's hard on a pump. It eats up the impellers in them and things like that. So this should virtually show no wear because all it's pumping is clean water. And I agreed that we would buy another pump, that I'd bring it to the board. I had a couple of things done to the pump to stop it from ever getting leak detections again, which is, it's like a $1,200 upgrade. I had them do that to this pump before we get it. I haven't approved the pump yet. I wanted to talk to the board tonight. So it's another couple thousand on top. So we're gonna have a little over 12,000 in it because you also have shipping. I think shipping's like $600 or $700. So we're gonna have into the pump about 12,000 with shipping.
What's the timeline?
13 weeks. Now, I didn't already order it because I just got that this morning. So I thought, well, I got it this morning, I might as well have this discussion with the board. And the last agreement was that tech will not ever come out to Oceanside, out to our business and work again. So-
And you said that he, in quotes, did the work to repair the pump, which was approximately 2 years ago. Is
Yes.
that-
Mhm.
So it's been running for 2 years,
Mhm.
and now it decided to give up the ghost. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they probably made the argument that, well, it's been working for this length of time.
They didn't make a lot of argument.
Okay,
I think that they already knew we haven't been doing PMs, preventive maintenance on the pumps, because this tech seems to leave us with more problems after he's been here than coming here to do preventive. So we stopped using them. They have hired a couple. He is gonna assign, Lance is one of their other techs we've worked with. We really like him. We never have more issues after he leaves than before he arrives. This was simply come out because the pump run times were different by a lot in 1 month. So that could point to an efficiency issue. The pump having to run longer to pump the same amount of water. He should have never tried to re-shim that pump down there on the ground. He should have never tried it. I told him when I went down there, put it back together and put it back the way it was. And so I thought he did, but I don't think he did now. Not from the damage that I saw of the pictures, which we have the pictures sometime if the board ever wants to see it, but Xylem didn't push back very hard on this. So their offer was if we sell it to at 50%, would that make everything okay? Because everything we own here is Xylem pumps. It's beneficial because we're the largest user of flight pumps in the state. So.
How does it work? I mean, do you have a separate pump there?
What do you mean?
I mean, do you have two pumps? One-
No, the effluent pump station has 4 pumps.
Oh, okay.
Has 2 11 horse and 2 30 horse. So if you had all 3 basins running and you're under a storm period and you got 1 million gallons coming in, you have a lot going out. So even 2 11 horse pumps couldn't keep up with max flow. So we have 2 larger pumps that are in there. That's how it's designed. That's why in the project I didn't ask to get spare pumps for each one of those, because there's already 4 in there. And they work together. So if the level comes up and it can't one pump, then it'll call on the second. If these 2 can't keep up, it'll call on the third. So and then keep going until all 4 pumps are on. We've had some 1 million gallon flows here. We've never hit all 4 pumps. So
this isn't to be considered an emergency issue?
no, this is not an emergency issue. The backup to that, if all the pumps died, say the control panel failed, the effluent would go there, then it would discharge out into the lagoon. So you'd never spill onto the ground. So,
Do pumps 3 and 4, are they made to operate on occasion to make sure that they are still running?
yes, the guys exercise those pumps. They can actually shut off pumps 1 and 2 and run on 3 and 4 for a few days, just to keep them exercised and the fluids in there moving. And because what happens if you let them sit like that for too long, they'll lock up. It'll get a flat spot in the seal. You have to start to have, so they have to exercise all the pumps at once. I mean, you don't have to do it every day, but they do exercise the other 2 pumps.
So are you looking for a board okay to go move forward?
Yeah, we can. I mean, it went over 10,000. It went to 12 with the additions and that. So let me get you the. Oh, here it is. So the total price is $12,298.30. If the board wants to approve that.
And that's within our budget, or, I mean, our budget is stretched, but we.
Well, our personnel services is stretched.
Okay.
Not, remember, it's in sections, the budget
Right,
is.
right.
No, there's plenty of money for this, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I move that we accept that,
I second.
offer.
Okay. I think we've
We've
had
had our discussion.
discussion, unless anybody has any other comments. All in favor of accepting the bid for the effluent pump, say aye.
All right.
And I touched on it earlier, and the last thing that I have is the manual transfer switch for the Oceanside and Netarts pump stations. The updated schedule I just got this week is they're gonna start mid-March. They'll have both MTSs here, they'll have all the equipment, and they should also have the generator. Because this is not a big job, they don't need to mow in and out twice. I was kinda hoping earlier in the storm season to have them here, but December to February seems to be when we get pounded on the worst by weather.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about, the time frame for the emergency thing.
Yeah.
Jeff just texted me apologizing that he got caught on a rescue call. And so just for whatever, he's absent for a very good reason. I told him to go save lives.
And I can always update him on this later when he has time. And that's all I have in my report.
So I got a question.
Sure.
You guys have been down to Happy Camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that lake? Like, how close is our pipe to that lake?
Talking about Barry Boring's dig he's doing down there to the foundation.
Oh, I was going, okay, what lake, but I see what, okay.
Maybe it's not as lake-like today, but
It's pretty
So-
full.
I've got a couple of
So,
pictures of it. That
all of
it's
our
4 feet of
infrastructure-
water.
Runs right in front of that property.
Right.
Right, I mean, right in front of it, right at the edge of the asphalt. And then our infrastructure comes across to the other side, towards the pump station, the public restrooms.
So the answer's close.
It's close.
So, I mean, if that was to, let's say that wall, that side wall there, you know, to the north, was to undermine itself. Is that gonna
So
create
you're
a
asking
problem for us?
you're asking if that could cause a failure of the pipeline. The force main, most likely not. You would have to lose a lot of roadway frontage before the force main moved, even if it was undermined, even if you could see all the way under the bottom of the pipe.
That's the stuff that old Bo and.
Yeah, yeah, so how that's all laid in. The only danger would be is if he got to the 8-inch gravity line, which is about, well, it's out where the manhole is, so about halfway out where the middle of the road's at. If that gets undermined, those are only 3-foot sections of concrete. They require to be supported. It'll be like what happened to us down there on Silver Sands.
Right.
Where that is.
Right.
When that wall of water came down and washed that out, our entire sewer line just rolled out like dominoes. So, it would have to undermine over half that roadway, and by then the road would be closed. But that's how far it would have to undermine. Now, the unfortunate thing is, just because you see asphalt up here doesn't mean there's anything under it supporting it.
Right.
So,
And
where he also dug too was just on the other side of that ditch line, that drainage line. I'm talking about the gravel surface where they,
Yeah.
the county drainage. He's on the other side of that, from where he dug. So he's a few feet even away from the pipe.
right, so
So it should be fine.
But he knows.
He does, we've been there with him and
Okay.
showed him.
yeah.
Okay, good. I assumed that, just.
Those are always our concerns. The other concern that we have that's actually probably more important is that the lateral that goes to that property,
Yeah.
you can't see it under the water. And if it breaks, then all that water is gonna flood into that pump station. And then we'll be pumping muddy water into our pumps through our force mains and into our gravity lines, all the way to Netarts,
So
the
that-
pump station.
The lateral pipe is already installed
Yeah.
to that property.
It's been in there for years. I mean, it's not a new installation. If they capped it off correctly, which it looked like it was when we were down there when there was no water. But I don't know if he's backfilled any of that, is that how deep that water is? It doesn't look like he's backfilled any of it. So if that cap comes off, but we'll know when our pump hours start picking up on that Happy Camp pump station. Cause that's just, that's beyond I&I, that's beyond inflow and infiltration. We would have to find a way, we'd have to get him out there to either dig it up, or we'd have to find a way to get a plug inside the lateral, and we don't have equipment to push a plug in a lateral through the main line. We could stick the TV camera in there and go up and look to make sure it stays capped, and we can also look to see if any water is flowing in. If we see any water flowing in with the camera, we'll notify him that he's got to figure out a way to dewater and plug that cap, plug that lateral off. So that's the only real concern I have with that down there. Not so much undermining the other lines that are in there. We don't need all those rocks and gravel and mud in our sewer lines.
Well, from an environmental point of view, that water is coming from that side hill. That's where it's coming from. And it's there's undermined groundwater that you don't see, and that's, so it'll always be there. I don't know how he's gonna deal with that, but.
Well, from somebody that's actually been in holes in that road, fixing sewer lines and other stuff, that groundwater level is high, and it's, of course, it's also dependent on the tide.
Springs is right, is the word.
Yeah, so as the tide comes in, that water level
I know.
comes to the surface pretty quickly. Do you remember years ago, they used to have water running across that road like rivers every winter?
I grew up there.
So he pours concrete and pumps it out, and, so it's dry and pours concrete, and just the structure itself keeps the water out of the basement, is that what's going on?
I don't know how much,
Barry knows what he's doing.
he does know what he's doing.
Some of his stuff is very sketchy.
It's not the first house he built down there.
No.
Yeah.
But knowing what you're doing, and then your crew always doing what you expect, he's on several different sites, he's not always just on the one, so. We've never had any issue with him. as far as his construction techniques or compromising any of our infrastructure before. So, that doesn't mean it can never be a first, but.
Okay,
we
well,
never-
you're on it. So,
Yeah, we watch that stuff, but we see surface water, we don't. Because it can also, if it gets up high enough, it can go through manholes, lids and all that kind of stuff. And then we just I just call Chris at the county and tell him we have an inflow problem of water with the road and the infrastructure. Chris is pretty good at getting right on it too.
So we noticed on the influent report
you always pay attention to that.
that the high volumes are in the day after a heavy rainstorm rather than the day of the heavy rainstorm. So that takes a day for the water to get into the system. Is that-
No. It's how we take our readings. We have to take a reading for the previous 24 hours.
Oh, I got you.
So that's why it looks odd like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so everything is recorded in the previous 24.
Yeah, I got you.
As far as if the ground's already saturated, we can watch the flows increase overnight.
Yeah.
It's almost instantaneous.
Okay. Old business, doesn't appear there's any. New business, we have the auditor's reports, which unfortunately we didn't get the hard copies. But
Read it online.
I don't, you know, if you want to take time to look at them further, the only decision that we have is to answer to the Oregon Secretary of State Audit Division as far as the two write-ups, significant deficiencies. And they're on the letter on September 25th, and they're the same ones that we have every year.
Yeah,
So,
recognize them, we read them online.
yeah, so I think we attached a draft response, which was, it's a little bit different than what this auditor came up with, but I think it still answers the questions. I don't know if folks had a chance to just take a quick look at it, if they have any suggestions or changes to the letter. And
I read it, it looked like what we said last year, didn't it?
okay, and if not, then I'll just go ahead and sign it. I don't know that it needs,
Well, as I tell the board every year, this is a report card,
yeah.
and you don't usually get a lot of input, otherwise it would not be impartial, as it states that the state requires, so it's basically the auditor's report card. That's about the simplest way to look at it.
That seems generally like a clean bill of health.
So,
There was only one thing on there about my procurement for emergencies. I had a talk with the auditor. Emergency and procurement, I can't go take the time to go out and locate three equal bids or something like that. So he understood that, and he talked to Aaron and I, and it's just a matter of putting it on a spreadsheet. And we just have to present it different in this for the audit next year, if we have them. Same thing with sole source and all that, we just have to answer for it.
okay. Correspondence, I don't think we have any, do we? That I know of? None.
What about this?
That
Oh, that was a letter,
We
never
just
mind. I didn't,
discussed that.
yeah, I
No,
didn't,
it doesn't need a.
I didn't mark it all.
With,
My fault.
with no objections, we'll just go ahead and sign it and get it on to the state. If they don't like it, they'll let us know. The next item is item 13, which is the executive session, and we are going to go into executive session. It is now 6:10.
I got 6:10.
So
All right.
we'll excuse us